Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Black and White Show. This is Brian Rundle. We are waiting on Lana Quest. She should be here any minute. Sorry for the delay. Like I said, I just spoke to her and she is on her way. So in fact, she is getting on right now as we speak.
Oh my God, we're actually on.
She is here.
Plugging you.
I'm panicking because I see no Lana Quest, and I'm like, how in the holy hell am I going to do this without her?
You would have been fine. Of course, I was.
Oof.
Oh my God, no room. Sorry.
Well, I mean, like, there's just so much to talk about, and it's just, you're right. I mean, because I did a podcast before by myself with no problem, but you sit there, you do the podcast, you can edit it and all that stuff. But
yes,
I have a lot of this stuff that I want to talk to you about, and it's refreshing to have somebody that's able to kind of bounce back and be on the same page for the most part on everything and talk about this stuff. So, how are you after your week off?
It didn't feel like it.
No, I know they go like that.
Yeah, it was like my daughter had track meets Tuesday and Friday. Tuesday felt like a Saturday. I was just constantly confused with what was happening. So those are going on. Track meets are so long.
Yeah.
Like hours and hours and hours. Took my grandson to Shrek, the 20th anniversary. He's like, this is goofy. I'm like,
what do you mean at the theater?
It's been out. Shrek has been out for 20 years and they put it back into the movie theaters on the big screen. Like,
you didn't like Shrek?
Yeah.
What?
He's like, this is goofy. I'm like, and then there's work being done on the sun porch back here and electricity. So that's why I'm late, because I was talking to my handyman about what happened today, because I don't see that anything happened today. So
your vacation was basically a
because I stayed home because I knew, one, my kid was out from school, but two, they were going to start some work. So I'm like, let me be here to kind of like whatever. And then he opened up the ceiling. He's like, oh, the electrician should come before I start this. I'm like, so yeah, whatever. Anyway, how are you, Celtics?
I am glad. I was going to say, before we start the show, let's get to the most important thing. It's not inflation. It's not the unemployment. It's not the border. It's the Boston Celtics, baby.
The Boston Celtics, dummy.
Yep. 1-0 up against the hated Miami Heat, because they gave me PTSD.
They were giving Tatum some too, weren't they?
God, in the beginning. Damn. And they tried to blow it in the fourth quarter. They're up by 30 plus points. Next thing you know, it's like a 12-point game. I'm like, all right, guys, don't do this to me. I don't need
this. The Celtics do that to themselves.
Yes, they do. They do it a lot.
They need that kick in the ass to almost like be losing or be behind or losing their lead before it's like, wake up. Like,
they're the best team in the league, but they're the worst team with a huge lead because they get bored and they just think it's over. We don't have to worry about it. Next thing you know, that other team's like, we didn't quit. So I don't know what you're doing.
They should never get bored, because it's not like even like the first quarter, I'm going, where's Tatum? And no one's guarding you. So where are you? Yeah. Like, literally, you could just be walking to the basket right now, but you're not taking any shots. Like,
you know what I think Jason Tatum's doing, though? And we'll move on to things that probably more people are interested in. But I think Jason Tatum has in his mind that you know what? The most important thing right now is for us to win a championship. It's not for me to look good. It's not for me to score the most points. We need to just win. And I can't have this hanging over me anymore. But anyway, let's get to the news that people are.
And I worked out first, so we don't have to rush. I worked out before I got here. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
all right, so
I did all of
workout.
Yeah, I did it all.
You were on top of it.
I
all right.
am everywhere.
Well, Lana, as you know, Donald Trump, the former president, what's that?
I said like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, like, share, and subscribe. Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. We would appreciate if you did that. But today was day 2 of the trial of the former president, Donald Trump. for basically giving campaign funds to a porn star to keep her quiet about a relationship they had, to hide that. Of course, he definitely didn't want to get that out to the public, and he certainly didn't want to get it out to his wife, who was pregnant with his son now, who I believe is 18 years old, Barron. But today, a couple things happened. They had a hearing on all his tweets and everything, and whether or not he violated the gag order. And they had some back and forth about that. From what I read, Donald Trump's attorneys are as Donald Trump attorney-ish as you get. They're stupid. And even the judge had made a comment that they're making something to the effect that he's making a fool out of himself, or he's not credible. Based on his arguments back about, about Donald Trump basically saying, violating the gag order. I mean, how hard is it to just keep your fucking mouth shut? But, well, I guess for me, you, and most normal people, it is.
And this time was tweets, right? He's like, well, if I'm not going to say it, I'm just going to retweet or like quote tweet or post or whatever the hell he was doing on True Social. Because a lot was about that post that he reposted or something.
Yeah, it was about Jesse Waters.
That
he was reposting about Jesse Waters, something to the effect about the jurors and stuff like that. But first of all, again, you talk about you just to blatantly look any American in the face and say there's a two-tier justice system and that it is unfair for Donald Trump is fucking ridiculous. Because if this were any of us, this line that they keep
MAGA
using
included, even if it was the MAGA, y'all be in jail right now.
No question. I mean, they're saying, if they can do this to me, they could do this to you. Like, of course, you fucking idiot. I mean, I would prefer it happen to Donald Trump because I know it could happen to me.
Right.
And it could happen to you.
Right.
Right. Unfucking real. But anyway, also the big news today was David Pecker was on the stand today, and David Pecker used to run. I know. We got Beavis and Butthead here.
Well, who was Peckerwood? Was that like a swear? I just remember saying that as a kid.
Oh, people would say that. That was like some sort of put down. Peckerwood is to call somebody a Peckerwood.
What is a Peckerwood? Because I remember hearing that.
Another innuendo for penis, dick, whatever it is you want to say. It's always been so. But anyway, I don't know if anybody has said the name David Pecker even on serious news broadcast without making some sort of joke. He used to run the New York Post, which is a garbage rag, basically National Enquirer type. Oh no, I'm sorry. He ran the National Enquirer is what he ran.
Right.
And so he was on the stand today, and basically what he did was he testified that he would do these catch and kill type stories. And basically what that means is he would find out stories that would hurt Donald Trump, kind of pay people off, and then he would kill the story so would not hurt him. There's also a few other things that he testified to. He testified basically that he would find stories or make up stories about his political opponents, like Hillary Clinton, and post those stories and protect him. And, basically that's what he testified to today, which, of course is damning. And, this is the same. These are coming from the same people too, who are bitching and complaining that there was a one day where they held up the Hunter Biden story on a social media site, and there's this big Twitter files. I wonder what the Twitter files people have to say about a guy who just got on the stand today and testified that he basically made up stories about his political opponent, and he caught and killed stories for Donald Trump to help him out.
Right. Which is not a crime, right? So
no.
Right. So MAGA people out there, because they're going to come to you, your YouTube, in the comments like, yes, we get that part is not the crime. But it does amount to kind of culpability. Like it amounts to like what they were trying to do, right? That's the background. So we know that there must be a little truth in what was going on if they're out here catching stories and killing stories. And Trump was very much involved in it. And I guess that's what Pecker is there for, to trying to connect the dots of, what they were doing and if Trump knew.
Right. And by the way, let's keep in mind, this is a guy on the stand who was a Donald Trump associate. Again, these are not people who are testifying against him. There are like Democratic operatives that just hate him and they want him out. These are people who worked with him, who were close to him, who voted for him, all these different things. And it just, there's no getting through. I mean, I don't think anybody still is going to put two and two together on that one that is a MAGA person and go along with that. But certainly that's important to note. But old man Trump was sitting in the courtroom today, and of course, after every time he leaves court, he has to hold this impromptu press conference outside.
You just go back to the courtroom just first.
Yeah.
And as yesterday during their opening arguments, how Trump's attorney came out and said, Trump is a family man and he's a loving husband. And he was just trying to protect the honor of Melania Trump and protect his family.
Lana, do you want to continue with that? What was he protecting her from?
Right. The act that he did for finding out, or
which, by the way, they're not denying. They didn't deny that he paid her. You don't pay a porn star. And by the way, I don't want this to get lost in the woods because too many people might be talking about, well, this is just salacious. So there's a porn star involved. And that's why people... Stormy Daniels, involvement in this, it has nothing to do with the fact that she's a porn star. It just has something to do with the fact that there was paid hush money to somebody with campaign funds, which is illegal. And by the way, Michael Cohen already went to jail for this. So why would Donald Trump not go to jail for it?
Campaign funds and then lied on business records. Like, stop playing, which is against the law. So that's what kills me about people who are like, this is, this case is nothing. Why did he bring it? And it's like, because there was a crime. Like, when do we see a crime and then like, oh, that's too small, let's just not deal with, like, when does that happen?
Well, I'll tell you when that happens. It's Trump? When it's a very rich person and it's almost, you give these people these passes. And I think part of that, I hope it's not, but I think part of that are delusional people who think at some point in their life they may be in that position. So they want, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And I think people obviously have a love affair with very rich people and, millionaires and billionaires, because that's the life everybody wants to lead. So they have this love affair. That it's almost like you just want to protect the idea of the rich person rather than I guess. And that's my only answer. What do you think?
That they want to protect rich people? Like, that's why, or is it? It's just weird with Trump, right? Like, is it just Trump or is it just rich people? Like, I don't really understand it around him. Like, maybe it's people who want to see bigger cases come and like, this is nothing, or like, I don't get it either. But I mean, I know we're gonna listen to Stephen A. Smith, but like, I don't get people like him saying the same thing. Like, it's the Dems trying to like harm him before an election, and it's like, hello, did we forget when Trump finally announced that he was running? Like, these cases were always running around here. Like, these cases were there, and then he turned around and said, I'm throwing my hat in. Like, it took him a little while to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, we're acting like Trump was out here campaigning and running, and then everyone's like, let me see if we can indict him now. Like, that's not how any of this went.
Well, the thing is that, first of all, we've already been programmed as a society with this whole new sort of media and MAGA media and just circus media that, we've been programmed just to buy into all this crap now. And, it just, I don't know. What's really bothering me is I had a really good point and I can't remember what the fuck it was. And that's why I'm trying to stall.
Was it about Trump?
Yes.
About the cases when the trial came?
You ever have, we all do that, where you have this great point and you're going somewhere with it.
Running from justice. That's why he's running. He doesn't want to be president. He don't care about being the president. He's only doing that so he can possibly stay out of jail.
Yeah. While I'm trying to gather my thoughts, our friend Baby Juggernaut has gave us a comment here. And she's right. How about the family support? Where's Trump's family? Where's Melania? Why? I think we know why.
People. That's what she said. She's uniting people.
Is that what she's doing?
That's what she said. She said, Trump is your uniter. That's like she's all on his team now. She's on Team Trump, Melania, but she won't show up in that courtroom. Nope. Baby Juggernaut's right. Not even a distant cousin, not even a play cousin, not even like a cousin to the 4th degree.
It's unbelievable. None of them. Junior's not there. The one he's in love with, the daughter, Ivanka.
Oh, hell no, she's not going to be there. Not even Eric. And Eric wants him to love him. Not even the one that Tiffany, the one that nobody cares about. She's not.
Tiffany might have been on the fuck off train for a while. I think she's like forced to show up every once in a while, but I don't think even the other siblings really like her that much. But
this is up here.
Yeah.
So don't talk about her.
It's a fucked up family. And, that whole dynamic is crazy. But I was saying, old man Trump today came out in one of his impromptu press conferences. And he was, of course,
drunk.
You would think.
Stinky.
Could be. But he does what he always does, which... again, and this is something we're going to talk about a little bit later, but, Trump is supposed to be the guy who, emits masculinity and manliness and all this stuff. But listen to this little bitch complaining about how he had to spend his day. And the audio might be a little bad on this. I tried to find audio that was a little bit better, but I couldn't. So
I'm sitting here sitting up as straight as I can all day long, because you know what? It's a very unfair situation. So
yeah, very unfair situation. He tried to do all he could to just sit up all day. But he couldn't do that. But there was somebody that flew into his defense on this, and maybe we should listen to it and get an idea as to whether or not this gentleman is right. This gentleman's name is Jesse Waters. He is on the Fox News Network, and he had this to say about Donald Trump and him sitting in court all day.
But the guy needs exercise. He's usually golfing. And so you're going to put a man who's almost 80 sitting in a room like this on his butt for all that time? It's not healthy. You know how big of a health nut I am. He needs sunlight, and he needs activity. He needs to be walking around. He needs action. It's really cruel and unusual punishment to make a man do that. And anytime he moves, they threaten to throw him in prison.
First of all, he's defending a guy using the words cruel and unusual punishment that was basically found liable for rape. But Lana, what do you make of that? Is Jesse Waters basically calling Donald Trump too old?
Right? That's what it sounds like. Like he's too old to sit on his butt all day, but a lot of like really old people may sit on their butts. I don't know.
I'm not near the age of Donald Trump, and I prefer to sit on my
butt. He needs exercise. He needs to golf. The thing where he gets in the golf cart and gets driven around to the next, and he cheats that. He needs sun.
He needs sunlight.
y'all made Hillary sit for 11 hours and she didn't complain not one bit. Straight she did it. No break, no nothing. And this man is whining because he can't get his Coca-Cola. I wish they would throw him in jail. He doesn't want to be in jail. People are like, oh no, that's really what he wants. I'm like, no, the fuck he doesn't. He doesn't want to be in that jail cell. He doesn't
Definitely
want to
not.
He doesn't want to be in that stinky, smelly court. He absolutely doesn't want to be in that jail cell without his phone for a night. Are you hell? Using the toilet? Okay.
I think Donald Trump has been convinced that there is a 0% chance that the judge will throw him in jail for any reason whatsoever. So he's going to keep pushing those boundaries and limits until somebody says, you know what, fuck it. Throw this fucking asshole in jail, not for 24 hours, but for 48. Let's see how he does for 2 nights. And then the next time you warn him and say, next time it's going to be 4 nights. Then the next time it's going to be 8 nights. And you just keep doing it. And then maybe at some point he shuts the fuck up. Because at this point, who gives a fuck what MAGA thinks? They're going to, sit there and do that. Well, they're silencing a political opponent. They said, no, they're not. But he was told by a judge, don't do this. He continued to disobey the orders. And you guys could sit there and defend him all you fucking want to, but it doesn't matter. He got thrown in jail the same way you would have got thrown in jail, the same way I would have got thrown in jail.
And it would be nice if they did that. I mean, there's security in jail. We don't need his private security. There's CO there.
That's what I was saying. Yep. So,
but they won't. They will never. But then start fining him. Like, what's taking that so long? Just throw out some fines. You know he did it.
Yeah,
you know he did it. You know you're not going to throw him in jail. The only other thing left is how much you're going to fine him.
You know who he's reminding me a little bit of at this point, Lana? Did you see the movie Training Day with Denzel Washington?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the end where he was basically screaming at everybody, and then everybody basically at some point just was like, oh man, fuck this guy, and they all just started to walk away from him?
Yeah, right, because they're not afraid anymore. Like,
they're not afraid of him anymore, and they were just like, you know what, you are Denzel Washington in Training Day. You're heading to that point. Because not even he keeps tweeting out or truthing or whatever the fuck he calls it, that, show up to the courtroom. People are trying to protest and they want to protest and this, and nobody's even showing up. Nobody's showing up anymore. It's
hilarious, right? He came up there and said 1,000. They can't get through because New York is closed down with armed guards.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I mean, it is. He said that too before on another thing where he said, I can't remember what it was. It was some protest where he said that they were blocking the roads and there was over 20,000, 30,000 people that wanted to get through and they couldn't because they were blocking the roads. Of course, they show the roads and like, there's nobody here. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but
little old lady walking back and forth.
Yeah. Right.
Where's everybody?
Some guy on a scooter. Yeah. Little flag in the back. Jesus Christ. I mean, and I was going to say too, Lana, we talking about Jesse Waters, and I want to play one more clip by him, but this is the thing that we're kind of shot with for the rest of our lives, that we're not even acknowledging the fact that Jesse Waters is on a national news channel saying this. This is not some, this is not some side panel on a goofy, independent television channel.
Right.
This is on a national news channel where somebody is on there, not even just making an opinion about that, but he's defending Donald Trump, that he's got to sit in court all day because he needs exercise and he's an old man. This is outrageous. This is why I don't watch that shit. I can't. I just can't.
And that's the crazy thing, because that's the gaslighting, right? It's like they're gaslighting people to believe like, woe is Trump or Trump, when it's like, but if you commit a crime and they schedule your trial during these dates, you don't get to pick and choose how y'all want the trial to go. Like, that's not, you have rights to defend yourself, and there's certain things, but you don't get to pick dates and when you're gonna show up. I may be late. I'll come in at 12. Like, don't do a crime. Stop criming. You wouldn't have this problem if you weren't criming. Like, What is wrong with people? It's so. Imagine Barack Obama. Like, what the hell talking about?
Lana, Barack Obama's never committed a crime, but they think that he should be locked up and thrown in prison. So for they don't even know why. They're just told that that Barack Obama needs to be in prison. But again, it's a flat out propaganda network, and propaganda.
Right.
I mean, in order to get propaganda out, you just have to throw out like fucking leaflets and pamphlets and shit like that to get propaganda out to people who will buy into anything. But this is propaganda on the most watched quote unquote news channel. And it's not just at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or it's not during just the 5. It's all fucking day. All day long.
Yeah.
You have 90% propaganda and 10% every once in a while somebody will go, holy shit, I can't fucking believe Fox News just said that.
It's wild. Somebody said today, they're like, what if Biden had the Washington Post doing catch release like Hunter Biden stories?
Well, they already think that they do. They think this Twitter files
everywhere. Like the Hunter Biden story is everywhere.
Yeah.
So obviously he's not. He doesn't do it. He doesn't. It's like, how are we even doing a comparison when it's like there is just zero comparison?
Lana, too. The thing that drives me insane is they keep saying that this story was killed. It was killed for one day on Twitter. One day on Twitter. And it was during the Trump administration. It wasn't even during the Biden administration. So it's just so irritating that this is out there as if this is a major news story that we all should be concerned about. It's just so fucking crazy. But speaking of crazy, going back to this Jesse Waters, Jesse Waters gets paid millions of dollars to not only spew propaganda, but I want to play a clip of just how stupid this guy is. This guy is so stupid. He was on a show called the Patrick Bet David Show, and for some reason, he's famous now, which drives me nuts. But Patrick Bet David is another one of these podcaster guys, sort of in the vein of Joe Rogan, but dumber. And he's on this show, and I want you to listen to Jesse Waters if you haven't heard it already. They're talking about making $20 an hour and raising the minimum wage, $15 an hour, and he's going and railing about $20 an hour. This is what Jesse Waters thinks. If you get paid $20 an hour, this is what he thinks you make.
Wonderful governors.
You're very good at math, so see if you can do this in your head. You probably can. If you're making $20 an hour to work at...
It's funny already because he's done this in his head. He's like, you could probably do this in your head, so follow with me. Follow along, because I've done it in my head, so you guys can follow along.
The fast food restaurant. All right. Is that 6 figures? Are you making...
No.
What
40 grand. 40 grand. 50 is just 2.
6 figures?
6 figures. First of all,
$20 an hour?
$20 an hour at 40 hours a week. He's thinking that you make 6 figures, and it really comes out to about $40,000. But he's going to insist about this 6-figure number in a way. But let's finish up this clown.
Exit and add a few zeros.
Yeah. Okay, so
$40K a year. Okay,
full time. $40K a year. Yeah. So, and now then if your husband or wife is also there, you're making $100,000 as a family.
Sure.
Okay, that's $80,000.
What? Oh my God. And even if it's a family, 100,000 is not great when you just said one person could be making 6 figures. Like, what are you talking about, dude? You're an idiot.
I want to point out again, this guy is on the most watched news network, really cable network. And he makes millions of dollars a year. And this is something that he thought about already. You could tell this is not something that was just on a whim. He's thought about this, and he still got it wrong twice.
Both working at McDonald's?
80 grand.
That is okay. That's crazy.
Why?
That is crazy, because that job really doesn't require much.
Says
so
who?
It's inflating the entire,
what?
labor sector
And the Happy Meal.
and the Happy Meal,
Unhappy, very unhappy.
which I'm very unhappy about. But I believe Gavin Newsom will be president one day. The man is smooth. He's
All right, and he goes into something about Gavin Newsom, but first of all, I want to say a couple things. One, how many times do you go through a drive-thru or you go to a fast food restaurant and you get angry at somebody because they put fucking pickles on your hamburger and they're like, "You're a fucking idiot and you shouldn't be blah 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 blah." You know, if you paid some people with some dignity, and second of all, I want to point out that they keep this idea that, well, if they pay people more to work at McDonald's or Burger King, then the prices are going to go up. I would like to point out that the prices have gone up at McDonald's and Burger King for years and decades. And guess what has not gone up for years and decades? It's the pay.
Right.
So they have plenty of money to pay. And I can tell you why I know this. And Lana knows this too, because during COVID, when they couldn't get anybody to fucking work outside of every McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, they were like $15 an hour, $20 an hour. And all of a sudden you can pay.
Right. Absolutely. Baby Juggernaut, we'll get right to you. And just a news flash, $40,000 is not a lot of money.
No, it is nothing.
Not for the cost of living. $40,000 in Mississippi is a lot of money.
Yep.
But guess what? They're not going to pay you $20 an hour at McDonald's in Mississippi. New York, Massachusetts, $40,000 is not going to get you anywhere, because out of that $40,000, Jesse Waters, you don't get $40,000.
Right.
You pay taxes.
Right.
Your health insurance is going to cut in like $10,000 off the rip is
Correct.
gone in health and dental. So you're not really making $40,000. You'll be lucky.
You'd be
if you're
taking home
making
28, maybe $27,000 total.
Right. So 6 figures. Like, and how are you living off of that if you're paying rent? That's $2,500 a month. Daycare, another these people, but they make so much money. They're just fucking lazy. Their minds are just lazy to it all, because that's just fucking common sense, fucking decency. You just, and here's the thing. The bottom line of what he said is he's saying to everyone, you just don't deserve the money.
Right.
That's it. He doesn't care about the calculations and how you're paying it. McDonald's doesn't deserve $40,000. You don't deserve that kind of money to him. Not even $40,000. You should be making like 10.
Do you know what the irony is of that whole thing? Jesse Waters doesn't deserve the money that he makes, because he's not smart enough to make that kind of money. That is outrageous that a guy this fucking stupid and out of touch trying to talk about social issues.
Who is he? Where did he come from? The sky? The fucking Pluto?
He was on he was like the when he was on Fox at first, it was during, I think, the Bill O'Reilly show. He was the man on the street guy. He thought he was like the funny guy that went out and interviewed people on the man on the street. He'd go out there and make fun of Chinese people. And of course, on Fox News, that's fucking hilarious when he's in Chinatown in New York, making fun of China people and Chinese people and their accents. I think he's one of these guys who was like probably a wannabe comedian, or he thought he was going to be something big in television. And the only way these losers, and that's what they are, can make it is on propaganda TV, where they can get dummies who will laugh at racist or, you know, that's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
Baby Juggernaut had some comments. We don't want to overlook those. Yeah, she said any of us would have been locked up a long time ago. He was running for president, running from prosecution. There's absolutely no question about that. The party he adopted, the party has adopted the whining. That's all they do. There's no question. I heard through the grapevine, Secret Service making security arrangements. You guys heard? I don't know what that's about. What is that about, Lana?
I didn't hear for jail. That would be nice if they were, because there was ass in there, but I don't see it happening ever. Like, I don't.
Yeah. He's saying there was 10 people at the quote unquote protest. And no drama, Obama. God, we miss them all. There's absolutely no question about it. So, all right. So let's move on, Lana. And I don't know how much time we're going to spend on this, but apparently, and I don't see. I mean, I probably should pay more attention to it. I don't. But there's a lot of protests going on at Columbia University, and not protests. Apparently, there are a lot of people who are being very nasty to Jewish people on campus. And, this whole thing with the Israel-Palestine thing obviously still going on. Are you following it, Lana?
I mean, I hear, but I'm not. I don't follow it like that. It just makes me tired.
Yeah.
All of it is just, it's a lot. It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate where we are, where our kids are, because our kids do want to speak up. They want to make a difference. But I fear that a lot of them are being persuaded through, TikTok, what they're seeing on TikTok, what they're seeing on Facebook, provocateurs, the same people like, when BLM was protesting George Floyd, you would have this looting, and they'd be like, oh, it's BLM, when it's not, because you have people that's coming in to infiltrate. And I think
they play association, and it's easy to get away with.
And that's what's happening, because again, we can't sleep on, because there is a connection of Russia and China and what they are doing to our youth and what they're feeding, because this is happening. This is what they want. This would be the plan, right? Because you don't want these young people to vote. You want these people to be very angry right now and not vote for Biden. So I would imagine on TikTok, China is just giving them all kinds of anti-Semitic stuff, and you know what I mean? And
China and Russia know militarily they cannot beat the United States. Could they hurt them? I mean, Russia couldn't. China, I don't know, maybe. But militarily, we would wipe them both out in about 15, 20 minutes. If we really, really wanted to, it would be over. So they know the way to get to the United States is through other outlets. And they had found the perfect way to do that. They realized that a lot of people in this country are fucking morons, and they're not smart, and they don't follow the news the way they might have thought they did. They're like, wait a minute, do you realize these guys will buy anything? I mean, Marjorie fucking Taylor Greene is not just somebody that was online doing QAnon shit. She now is running Congress somehow. It's unbelievable.
So she thought, we're going to talk about that later.
I mean, so she thought is correct. But, I bring up this thing for a couple reasons. And one, I want to say this, and it's probably not the right thing to say. And Lana, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because it's, if you disagree with this, but I think it goes without saying that we think all of that stuff, what's happening, is terrible. And none of us condone it. None of us think it's great. None of us, I don't take a side on any one of these. I think we can probably sympathize with both sides and still be good people instead of taking a side one way or another. But here's one thing I want to say. I am tired of having to dance around or live my life based on, first of all, something I don't even believe in this religion stuff. And a lot of this is based on religious anger. So because of this religious anger, now I've got to live in a country where people are deciding whether or not they're going to destroy our country based on something that I think is stupid. I think all this religious shit is stupid. I think fighting over religious stuff is stupid. And I've got to continue to sit here and base, how I'm supposed to feel on Israel and Palestine, who've been doing this shit for over 80 fucking years.
I don't even think the youth know that.
They don't.
I don't even think they know that this is not new. I mean, it's awful what's happening in the Gaza Strip, but it's not new. Not a new
Let me
fight.
put it this way, Lana. Let's say you got your child, not your child, because I don't want to make this too personal for you, but if you had a child and your nephew, or you had somebody, and they're the old adage of, if they're both drowning, you can only save one. Obviously, the situation's horrible either way,
Right.
but you're going to go save your own child first before
Right.
you save your nephew. This
Right.
is how I kind of look at this. I want to save my own country first before I save my nephew. Okay.
Right.
And that's just how I feel.
And it's a horrible thing to say, but
It is a horrible thing to say.
what a
But you know
choice.
what? My resentment also comes from the fact that my child and my nephew were both on boats. One was tipped over by Donald Trump. The other one was tipped over by religious war. And now I'm resentful that both of them started this shit, and I'm pissed off at both of them.
Well, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But your example was like really kind of wow.
I mean, even if I have to swim out and get my kid that's further away, I'm going to save my child before I save my nephew.
True, but that is not the choice that we have right now. Is not even that deep to me, because it's like, yes, what's happening. It's not just what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Palestine. You could be like, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in all these Haiti, like all of these places. Horrific things are happening, right? America, we can't get involved in all of the things all of the time. We just can't. There's Israel. We are longtime allies. What is that? The Red Sea over there. That's our trading spot. That is our only ally in the Middle East. So there's reasons why things had to be done slowly over there. But right now, right today, right tomorrow, right next week, women's rights are being taken away.
Mhm.
They're banning books. They're trying to stop you from vote. Donald Trump wants to be a dictator on day one. Children are being raped and forced to have children. I just read a thing about there's a Louisiana report, whereas you know how when women, their water breaks, and if the water breaks too early, the fetus is not viable, right?
Mhm.
But the hospitals are sending them home, of course, because they're like, oh, still a heartbeat. We can't do anything. So these women are getting sepsis and infections, and then it can blunt you from having another child, like getting pregnant again. What's happening is that now doctors are going, this infection can kill them. So what they're doing is giving C-sections to the women. So if the women's water breaks, non-viable fetus, instead of sending them home just to miscarry at what point and let the amniotic fluid run through their bodies and give them sepsis,
which, by the way, will be a crime too if you miscarry.
Will be a crime. So now the doctors is saying, let's open C-section. Let's open up the abdomen, drain the amniotic fluid, and then close it back up with fetus and all, right? So that at least she's not going to die from sepsis. And at some point, I guess she'll miscarry. But my point is, so it's not the best practice. And that's what the doctors are saying. The doctors are saying that these laws are making us do things that we know are not the best practice for our patient, because under no circumstance will we ever do major abdominal surgery when your water breaks. And the embryo is not viable. We would just do an abortion, or you would take the pill. The abortion pill. Or we would induce you or give you medication. Like that's what we would do, not major. That's a abdominal surgery is major. You could hemorrhage. You could die. But that's what they're making these choices, and they're it's just, oh my God, it must be awful being these doctors at this point.
I think the other problem is that, the talk obviously is the main talk is the abortion issue, but it just starts there. If Donald Trump wins again, I mean, we're talking about assigning and appointing judges all across the country that is going to have gerrymandered districts. You're talking about state courts. You're going to be talking about all these things where it's not just abortion laws that are going to change. There are going to be so many changes that it might take decades for any Democrats to get back where this country was. And I'm talking about all rights. I'm talking about rights for women, rights for Black people, rights for the LGBTQ community, rights for immigrants, rights for, you know, all these things. It will. And I don't know, and I'm not exactly sure how much in 4 years they can accomplish all that, but they are going to be 100% determined to do it. And we talked about before that Project 2025, where they plan on having people in place on day one. And these are not people who are normal politicians. And you hear all these idiots keep saying, you know, oh, I don't want to. You don't want these people. I promise you, even the ones voting for Trump, I've said this before, you're going to find out at some point, fuck, man, we fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. He still wants to take your health care away.
Yep.
He want to take Obamacare away, and they don't have a plan for you. It doesn't take 10 minutes to do a health plan like that.
I heard one of those interviews the other day. They were asking the lady about the abortion thing. She's like, "No, I think women should have rights." And he was like, "Well, this is a woman at a Trump rally," and he's like, "Well, what do you think about Donald Trump taking away those rights?" And she was like, "Well, no, at first she was denying it, and then it went into she was like, well, he's a good businessman. I trust his." First of all, I don't know what him being a good businessman, which he's not. He's awful. I don't know what that has to do with his decision on abortion, but those people vote. Those are people who vote, and that it is scary. But the more I'm looking at this, there are more positive signs. We've talked about polls and stuff like that on the show, and we take it with a grain of salt. But obviously, if they're trending in the right direction, that is something you have to pay attention to. Just like if they're trending in the wrong direction, that's something to pay attention to. But we're not going to put all our eggs in that basket. So, all right. Want to move on to, there's a thing I just kind of wanted to talk about this because you hear the saying with a lot of people now where they're saying, you're not even allowed to say anything anymore. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say that anymore.
Sure.
Well, I disagree. I think there's outlets now for basically anybody to say whatever the fuck they want to now. In fact, I've heard more vile, hateful, racist, angry, homophobic shit more in the last 4 years than I probably have in my entire life. Would that be fair to say to you?
Yeah, it's really bad because people like they have carte blanche right now.
Not only that, they're getting paid millions of dollars to do it. Are you familiar with Nick Fuentes?
Oh, yeah. That's the Nazi that had dinner with Trump.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these people. And then, of course, when they find out, who Nick Fuentes is, which they knew who he was. I know for a fact Marjorie Taylor Greene knew who he was. Donald Trump, he might not, because the only person who he knows who he is him. That's it. He doesn't know who anybody else is. Sometimes I almost do think to myself, maybe he does think he's never met this person because he's that narcissistic. But this is Nick Fuentes recently, and he's said a lot of doozies before, and he's not somebody that I would normally play on the show because he's just not worth the time. But I also do want to point out, but this guy is not somebody that gets paid $40,000 a year like Jesse Waters gets angry about when somebody that works at a fast food restaurant does. I just listen to this guy. Let's just listen to it. And
toughest guys, or those that pretend to be the most tough or the most masculine.
We're going to get into that too, by the way, this idea of being tough guys in this country. The guys who think they're tough guys in this country are the biggest fucking pussies in the country right now. But let's finish up a list.
They've got their dumb bitch wife right behind them in their ear. And we both know that guy is never going to punch her in the face. He's never going to kill her.
Millions of dollars.
It's just like the woman knows that's not even in the cards. It's not in the deck. Okay. She's going to open up that pack of cards and it's not in there. 0% chance. Okay. It's never going to happen. He's never going to cheat. There's no rape. There's no, in other words, there's no actually male power coming from the man. Like, the man is not a beast. The man is not an animal. He doesn't have power because he would never abuse whatever power that he has, and therefore he doesn't have it. And so because the woman knows the man totally, doesn't fear him, is completely comfortable and kind of bored with him, she doesn't ever really respect him. And that's when the power dynamic, I think, changes.
Okay. So this, first of all, there's a lot to say about that, but I want to go on the theme first. And the theme is that you're not allowed to say anything anymore. Where in the 70s, 60s, 50s, 80s, really even 90s, do you think you would have heard anybody saying anything like that anywhere outside of just maybe some crackhead on the street or some idiot, hopped up on drugs? What outlets would you be able to go to hear and see that?
I don't know. You tell me. Like, he's sounding crazy. I don't even know what that was. I was like, he's making shit up. It's like he looked like
he believes that.
He literally looked like he came on. Is like, what can I say? Like, he didn't have anything to say. Like, it just, none of it made any sense as he was talking. It's like he was just trying to figure out what he can say that would just,
He doesn't like women with independent thought, because any women with independent thought would challenge him. And if he's challenged, then he's not a man. That's basically what it comes down to, is that, you can't have that bitch of a wife behind you talking in your ear, because if you do, you're not a man. You're a big pussy, and you won't turn around. You won't punch her. You won't rape her. You won't do anything to basically establish yourself as the man in this relationship so she doesn't get out of line again, is basically what he was saying.
well, he said that really stupid. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's all dumb, but I don't take these people serious. Like, I really just look at them like, yeah, whatever.
We don't, Lana, but in a way, you kind of have to, because these are people who are influencers. They have a large enough, viewership and listenership that, there are guys out there. And first of all, that talk, that's just not even, off the cuff kind of shit. That's dangerous, crazy shit. So now you got a guy thinking, wait, I'm not manly enough because I'm not punching my bitch wife who's whispering in my ear, or I'm not just throwing her down on the bed and raping her and establishing my manhood against her. I mean, now I will say that I do believe that a majority of men, and unfortunately, even the minority, is still way too many of them. But I don't think they would take that too seriously. But, I think we've said before, even if a small amount takes that seriously, that's pretty fucking dangerous.
Right. And when I said I don't take him seriously, I wasn't speaking like nobody should.
You mean you laugh at him?
Yeah, like he's on a platform, so absolutely that's dangerous talk, because there's always going to be that one person that's like, bitch, sit down, Fuentes said so. It's just, of course, but I don't know. It's like it just seems like these people get high off their own supply. Like, they know that they have the power to make people move in certain directions. And it's like they say like the worst possible things because they don't really fucking care if somebody goes out there and like rape somebody. They'd be like, oh shoot, they were listening to my show. Score. Like, it's just like that.
I think that's the scary part, is that obviously there are enough people who listen to that to where he still has a platform where, of course he gets paid enough money to stay. And that's his only,
It's just so bad. Like, it's not even like you could say somebody who's a great orator or someone who's really just spewing hate. Minister
Hitler.
Farrakhan, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He would have this big following because he can speak well, he can mesmerize.
Mhm.
This dude is saying shit that doesn't, like, it doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff he was like,
It doesn't, but you know what,
it
Lana? I
doesn't
think
happen like
unfortunately
that.
it resonates with some younger dudes.
crazy.
These dudes who are just angry, who are not getting laid because, obviously when I'm growing up and you're looking at girls and you want to, date the prettiest girls, you want to do all that stuff, but now you look on social media and there are beautiful women all over the place. And now the idea is that is the only thing I want to date. And if I can't date that, then fuck everybody else. And, it makes them angry that they can't date this girl who online seems so available because she's out in her bikini and she's just running around and she's free. And, this makes me think that I can get this girl. But then when I actually talk to that girl or I talk to any girl that looks like her, she looks at me like I'm a fucking idiot or a weirdo. And then they get mad and angry, just like this Nick Fuentes fucking character. And by the way, as you pointed out, this is a guy who had dinner with fucking Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene was hanging out with him at some conference. Or she was speaking at one of his conferences or whatever the fuck it was.
This doesn't matter.
Real.
They don't care. They disconnect. They can do what they want as long as they get their money.
Yep. And speaking of, you could say whatever you want. This is a pastor, Lana. This is a pastor. He's speaking about Ketanji Jackson Brown, who is a Supreme Court justice. I would dare to say that Miss Brown probably has more intelligence in her head than he has in any part of his body. But this is a guy, a man of God, speaking about Justice Brown.
Problem is Jumanji Jungle, Judge Jumanji Jungle lips. The problem with it is this, because what's coming out of her lips is monkey sense. Not common sense. It's jungle monkey sense pouring out of your liberal lips, and you are a curse to this nation. You are a rodent in our republic. Your mindset is messed up. It is the enemy of the people. Disrobe yourself because you have dishonored yourself.
Praise Jesus, Lana. Praise Jesus. That is Pastor, whatever the fuck his name is. That is something that, again, I think if you heard that on television back in the days where supposedly you were allowed to say things, I don't know if that guy makes it on TV much longer if he was around in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, spewing that on television.
Again, you have racists hijacking the Christian religion, right? Like they're just hijacking religion. Whatever religion was supposed to be, that ain't what religion is. These people use religion to kill. These people use religion to lynch. They use religion to they would have lynching picnics after church on Sundays. They would go and lynch Black people, children, everyone in their Sunday best, and then they would take souvenirs. And this is all on a Sunday after church. This is a Sunday afternoon, right? This is like a picnic. We have a picnic and eating while they're hanging the N-word. So that is just not a surprise because that is what they do with religion. I don't know if it makes them feel better than other people. It's like, this man, his fucking tongue is so big he can't even close his mouth, but he's talking about Ketanji's lips. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? She's a Supreme Court justice. However, you have to make yourself feel better. Like, she's a monkey.
Well, Lana, you'd be happy to know that not long after that, and I didn't even bother downloading the clip, he, of course, made his very apologetic video of how sorry he was, and that, of course, anybody that knows him is not they know he's not racist.
Oh, wait, why? Because some people in his church was probably like, that was a bridge too far. They're like, what the fuck is this? Because
again, you would think something, but I don't know. Is that the idea that you're not allowed to say it? So somebody came out to you and said, "Hey, dude, that's pretty fucked up. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, we're not allowed to say anything anymore. No, you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want. But guess what? You need to expect a reaction.
Yeah.
And if the reaction isn't what you want it to be, it doesn't mean you're being fucking canceled. It just means that you're a fucking asshole and people are calling you out on that. That's all that means.
He's like, let me get me some lights and clicks and some people. I'm getting me some mega. Let me just be let me just be real racist on the platform. Like, you got to be racist to say that kind of stuff, but then to say it out loud is you just want attention.
Right. Baby Juggernaut says they're mad too because Dem and Independent won't date them, much less marry them. Right.
It's true. The world is becoming more diverse and they're just angry about it.
That's what I'm saying, that this country is getting angrier, and it is. It's because of the Nick Fuenteses, and it's because of this so-called pastor who has an outlet to spew this. So I don't want to hear it. I swear to God, Lana, I don't know what I will do, but I just don't want to hear one more person say, you're not allowed to say anything anymore. You can say whatever the fuck you want. What are you talking about? It's all over the place.
Go. Why don't you just be real brave and go say it to Katanji's face?
He would never do that.
Right. Say it to a black person's face. Call a monkey in front and see what happens.
He wouldn't do it. He's, again, there is this idea now, especially ever since this ridiculous MAGA movement, it has gone to the point now where anybody thinks that they have, because they have their bubble now. Their bubble has now allowed for all this to happen. So they think their bubble is 75% of the country, which they don't realize it's only about 20%. But they think it's much bigger than it really is. So they feel like they're in their so-called safe space saying this stuff. And then when people come out, they're like, wait, what the fuck just happened? But we're gonna discuss that a little bit more on another subject here later. But first, are you familiar? This is kind of on the same level of what we've been talking about, the anger and the this idea of needing to feel manly and be a man in this country. It's a very bizarre thing. I don't know where this kind of came from, but quite frankly, I feel less manly if I feel like I need to be more manly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That seems punkish.
Are you familiar with man camp?
Who?
Yeah. So there are these man camps now.
Oh.
And basically what it is a bunch of loser incels sign up tens of thousands of dollars and pay to go to these camps that are sort of like boot camps, but for men, and to teach you how to be manlier. I don't know, Lana. Do you think if you were single, you're a married woman, but let's go back to Lana's single years, and you heard that that the guy that you are dating went to man camp to become more manly. What's your opinion as a woman for the guy that went to man camp? But wait, don't answer yet, because all right. Let's play a clip of an example of what happens at man camp. And then you go on a date with this guy and he tells you, but you are already aware of what goes on at man camp. Here's a clip of what you can expect if you pay these, I think it's up to $15,000, $18,000 to go to man camp, be a manlier man.
I'm strong. Move forward. Move forward. Move forward. I'm a man. Forward. I am. Move I am a man. I am a man. I am a man. Move forward. I am a man. I am a man. Move forward. I am a man. There.
Oh my God. Corny. What the hell?
Well, corny's a nice word. All right. Have you had enough? right, I've had enough. I've had enough.
So
All right. So this is a guy. He tells you can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay.
I just turned mine down.
Yeah, I did too. This guy went to man camp, and you already know what goes on at man camp, and you come across a guy, he asks you out, and you ask him, hey, what do you do? And he tells you, well, I just want to let you know I went to this man camp. How quickly are you out of there?
Very well. I mean, I'm not gonna be rude, but I'm not gonna call you back because, like, what is that? Like, why do you have to? That's just nobody can teach you how to be the man that you are. Every man is different.
It's really sad. I mean, I think everybody's got different ideas of what it likes to, what it means. Like, I'm not a motorcycle guy. I don't give a fuck about motorcycles, but I love sports. I love, and not to say that women don't love sports, but I think being a man is just being able to speak for yourself rather than somebody trying to tell you how to speak and what to speak. And I'm not opposed to learning. I'm not opposed to, and I'm certainly not, I'm not threatened by somebody that either knows more than me, whether it's a fucking man or a woman. I mean, if they know more than me, they know more than me. I'm okay to learn from that. But man, this idea that you got to scream and yell, I'm a man. And
yeah, exactly. It's like, this is like man camp for assholes because that's
for losers.
Yeah, right. Like, you're getting grifted, guys.
That's exactly what it is. You're getting grifted.
It's a grift. It's a whole. Somebody was like, "Oh shoot, there's some books out teaching you how to be a man." Well, we just have a man camp, and these incels will pay thousands because they got trust fund babies that are like, and nobody wants them even with the money. So we'll take the money. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of the same idea. When you hear about therapists and they say, and I'm certainly not opposed to therapy at all. I think it's a good thing for a lot of people. But you hear a lot of people saying, therapists are just as screwed up as the people who are getting the therapy because they've had to go through a lot of shit. This is just kind of the same thing. I don't know how manly the guys are who are teaching these things as
right.
You know what I mean? It's like yeah. I don't know.
Man, you gotta scream, I'm a man. You a whole punk if you gotta tell somebody you a man. Like,
there's another thing that you're gonna have to sit through too. It's painful. But there was something called the oh god damn it, Lana. It was called the
Is it loud?
Well, it's an advertisement with a lot of things coming at you. This is the man conference that they have, and it apparently it's got religious undertones to it, or overtones, whatever.
Nice.
But this is the man conference, Lana, and tell me if you'd be attracted to any of the fellas that attended man conference.
Welcome to the Stronger Men's Conference.
Stronger Men's.
When you're in the presence of the Lord, powerful things happen. God, whatever you have for me, I want to hear it. Help me to grow because I want to be a stronger man.
Fighting.
That was crazy!
Trucks.
What God did in your life, it's meant to impact the world around you. It's meant to be multiplied. That's the plan of God for you.
We can change and impact the world because we serve the strong man, Jesus Christ. He says, I will go with you. Behold, I'm with you always. I'm going to give you strength.
Never leave any warfare the same way as you entered it, because you've been through something with Jesus. You've had an encounter with the Most High God. He's changed you and transformed you and renewed you.
Where do I sign up for the Stronger Man's Conference? Lana, did that jack you up? Did that get you excited?
It gave me a headache.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Why?
Like, it's just. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled there, so I was never baptized. Like, my mom could actually, talk with me and hang out because, they only hang out with witnesses. But if you're not baptized, they feel like, you know, you don't know any better, you know, so because you're not, I'm still worldly. Once you get baptized, you can't really make those mistakes. So my point is, I've always respected everyone's religion. Had a problem with Catholics in the with the choir boys, but Muslims, like I respected it. And I just really feel bad for those people who are Christians, right? Who do believe in, like, you know, a better world and making things better and helping thy neighbor.
Yep.
And, you know, all of those things. And when I look at something like that, that is just so unbelievably disrespectful to religion, disrespectful to women, to boys. It's just across the board. It's like it makes a mockery of just everything.
It does.
Oh my God. And
No,
that's like I feel physically sick watching, and I'm like, what the? Ugh.
I could not agree more. Like I said, I mean, it kind of goes back what we were talking about earlier is, you know, religion is what is making people so fucking angry, and it's supposed to do the opposite. What it's really supposed to do is the opposite. But I see more anger and hate and want to fight and kill over religion than anything else. And the ironic thing about that is a lot of these guys are doing this to look more masculine and not to look heterosexual, but it's doing quite the opposite. They look gayer than any gay person I've ever seen.
Especially the guy, that last clip you showed when he was like, I am a man. And he's just, I'm like,
the gay pride parade went by there and goes, Jesus Christ, these guys are pussy.
Right. Like, what the hell? Come on, he's looking like RuPaul out there, like doing the runway, talking about I am a man. Like, dude, go sit down. I don't know what they're trying to get all your money.
I'll tell you, I don't have kids, but if I did have kids, you know, I'd be the kind of guy that would just be like, you know, I'd raise them to do and just be a good person and let them be whatever. If I had a kid in fucking man camp, that kid ain't leaving his house again. That just not happening. Your man camp is now in this fucking house, and you're not going in.
It's like
man camp,
especially if these guys have a father. It's like, is your father there with you? Because what the hell's he been doing if he ain't taught you how to be a man? What is this?
I got news for you, Lana. How about this? Instead of man camp, why don't you go to the real man camp? Go join the fucking army, or join the Marines, or you know. And that's not just for men, by the way. That is for women as well.
But say it again. If you want to toughen up and get thick skin,
join
the military.
Correct.
You're right. That's a good idea. Join the military.
That man camp and the other thing is not going to get them the women they think they're going to get.
You don't have to pay for the military.
Correct. The military will pay you.
They pay you.
Right. It just unbelievable.
You're right. Be a cop, fireman.
Right.
So many things like man camp.
Right. Oh yeah, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing stuff.
I never saw that. I wish I never saw that. But thank you for enlightening me, because who knew?
Lana, you need to know about this. You need to share it and let everybody know that man camps exist, and to be careful of anybody that goes to man camp or the tougher guys conference, or whatever the fuck they call it, in the name of Jesus.
That's the worst. Like,
did you notice? I noticed what's his name was in there. Josh Hawley.
I
remember the guy, the man guy who ran in the Capitol.
Yeah.
Mr. Manley. I can't stand these fucking people. I can't stand them. I want to say, Lana, you know what's the problem? You know, we're sitting here and we're criticizing, or I am, about being angry and hateful. These people are making me hate them. They are. I hate saying it. I just, I don't want to say that, but I really don't like these people. I don't like them. But I personally feel that I don't like them for the right reasons.
Right.
So,
there's a difference.
all right. Anyway, every once in a while, when I check the comments and the sections on our comments before, people would bring up, they say, you guys call the show Black and White, but you guys don't talk about racial stuff. You don't talk about any of that stuff. And I was like, well, I don't think that was really the idea of our show. I think, Lana's black, I'm white. And we thought it was just kind of a play on words. And it's also a term that is used, black and white, that is familiar with a lot of people. So I thought it was a good name for the show. So did Lana. So that's what we called it. And I don't think Lana and we have talked race before. I don't think we're certainly.
I don't know how to talk without injecting race, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure people are always like, you always talk about race.
Yeah. I mean, we've certainly talked about, we don't shy away from it. I think, for the most part, I think maybe some of the problem though, Lana, is for some people is that we don't argue like everybody's got to see on TV and all that stuff. And I think it's probably because you and I done this show together. I think it's safe to say we got to know each other before we started doing this show, and we became friendly and we knew each other, at least on a level of, why would I want to do a show with this guy? And why would I want to do a show with her? So that's what it really came down to. And I think we're basically on the same page. And I think that's why this works for us. But you alluded to this earlier. Stephen A. Smith made a lot of news.
Here's the race talk, guys. So is that what you want?
Get ready for some race talk, but I don't know that you're going to see any argument between Lana and myself, because I think we're on the same page here. We'll find out. Tune in to find out, to see whether or not Lana and I are on the same page about Stephen A. Smith. I know I have my opinions about it, and I know Lana does too, only because I can peek at her Twitter and every once in a while see what she posts on there. Actually, I can see it a lot, but anyway, if you don't know who Stephen A. Smith is, he is a very, very famous sports broadcaster. And Stephen A. Smith is somebody that probably has changed what sports broadcasting is nowadays. Him and there's the other guy, what's his name? He damn it, big Cowboys fan. Him and he was a writer for in Dallas, and they would be on the show, and basically the whole show is them two yelling and screaming at each other. Now that's all sports talk is people yelling and screaming at each other, and it is annoying. I can't stand it, so I don't watch it anymore. The only sports I watch anymore is live sports.
Is the other guy a football player?
No, he it's going to come to me. It's right on the tip of my tongue. If anybody's listening, please let me know. His name starts with an S, and it's going to come to me. And you know what, Lana? We talked about getting older. Every show, I'm forgetting a fucking name. Every show now. Yeah, and they're playing by Joe Biden.
It's the worst thing ever.
Oh, my God. It is just annoying. It's right on the tip of my tongue, too. But anyway, so that's what sports talk has become. It's become yelling and screaming and all this stuff. But Stephen A. Smith is also apparently close with Sean Hannity. So he's been on Sean Hannity's show before. They've become friendly with each other. And he was on there last week. Skip Bayless. That's his name. Skip Bayless. But he was on Sean Hannity's show last week. I'm sure you've seen the clip, but if you don't know who Stephen A. Smith is and you haven't seen the clip, let's just play the clip first, listen to what he had to say, and we'll talk about the controversy that this sparked.
Tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that because we know we have. And that's what he articulated.
All right, Lana, I'm going to let you talk first on this. I mean, obviously, I've got a lot to say, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on what Stephen A. Smith had to say, basically about the Black community changing their vote from Joe Biden or anybody else to Donald Trump, which still I'm not even really sure is true. But
no, that's not happening. That's
Yeah.
not true. We know better. Like I got so much to say. So like one, Stephen A. Smith is like going on those tropes that Black people are criminals, right? So like that's the first thing. Like why is he saying the same thing that Donald Trump is saying? Like, oh yeah, Black people can relate because you know what Donald Trump is going through in this system is is what Black people go through. But the Black community, all of us, like I don't know. It's like you're saying we're criminals. Like we can relate to the criming, and what the fuck is that? It's almost like you're taking one racist statement and making it even more racist because you're a Black man saying that Black people could be relate, and then he still turned around and said, the system's been exercised against Trump. So that's why Black people also can relate because we can relate to the suffering. What the fuck suffering is Donald Trump going through? Like, it's so different. Donald Trump has 94 felonies, a few of which they've taken off. So maybe it's 90s. 90 counts.
it's like
I don't know.
89, 88 now, I think. Yeah.
He has those. He has been indicted. He is going through the criminal system as it has been designed.
No, he's going through it easier and better than anybody
easier,
else
But
has.
he's actually going through it, right?
Right.
So like what? No one is exercising anything criminal against Donald Trump. Like no one is like Donald Trump hasn't been arrested because of the color of his skin only. That's not what's happening. Donald Trump has.
They're not arresting orange people, Lana.
Right, they're not arresting orange people.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
He has been indicted by a jury of his peers. He's been indicted by what are those people called?
Grand juries.
The grand jury. He's been indicted by them. Black people, the ones that may not have committed a crime, are racially profiled and put through the system even when they're innocent. So I don't understand how we're connecting the two. Stephen A. What's this man's name? Smith. Stephen A. Smith. Like we knew Stephen A. Smith was on the cusp anyway with the Black community. So let's just be real with that, because Stephen A. Smith, after Trayvon Martin was murdered, came out here talking about Black men in hoodies and wearing their pants saggy. Like, you deserve to be stopped, or you deserve to get what you get, which that's crazy. Funny, me and DA had this conversation today. Martin Luther King wore suits, spoke eloquently. He was murdered. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. It can still happen to you because of the color of your skin. So it's disappointing, but it's not surprised because, a lot of, again, Black men in particular being white adjacent. You said he's friends with Hannity. Mm-hmm. So white adjacent, like that's the white supremacy thing when we say the Candace Owens and the Clarence Thomas.
Another figure too, by the way, who just recently passed, O.J. Simpson, was one of those guys too.
Right. They support white supremacy, and that just means they support white being supreme. That's all that means. Like, it's white adjacent. It's important to them, so they will disconnect from the Black community, like they don't understand what's going on over here, just to get a boy and the welcome to the club. Here's your cigar. Hanging out with Hannity, like. What are y'all saying behind the scenes, man? If you say this kind of stuff, you may get a whole different audience, and then your platform is going to grow even more, because that's really what I think this is. But
yeah, I think, based on a lot of what you just said, the thing that really just irritates me, it's kind of like The Rock going on Fox News. He knows going on Fox News on Sean Hannity's show, like saying that, it's not like he was caught on a hot mic saying that. He went on Sean Hannity, who, by the way, is not just friends with Donald Trump. He consulted with Donald Trump throughout his presidency. This is a guy who's on a national news telecast, and he's consulting with Donald Trump. And to come out on national TV and not just say, that Black people should be able to relate with Donald Trump because he's criming, is saying that Donald Trump has told the truth. And he said it in that voice with conviction, like he was trying to please Sean Hannity and the viewers of Fox News. That's exactly how that came across. And now he's backpedaling, and he's backpedaled 2 or 3 times. And today
we didn't hear it. Sorry.
Well, he came out with an apology, and it's just like every one of these narcissistic personalities it's basically like, I'm kind of apologizing, but I'm still going to tell you how you guys are wrong.
Right.
I have this apology, Lana, and I'm going to play it. This one's about 5 minutes long, but I'm going to let you make the call on how long you want this to go. And if there's anything like you want to stop and listen to it. But some of it we can fast forward to, but I think the first couple minutes is where you can listen to it, and it gets really irritating. It irritated me, and we'll probably stop it a couple times. But if there's any time you want to stop, let me know. But I know I probably will. But here is Stephen A. Smith. By the way, I want to point out that the reason why I think he feels necessary to make this apology now is because he was blasted by the Black community about what he had to say, and to say that the fact that you have gone on the Sean Hannity show on Fox News to say that Donald Trump was telling the truth about Black people and that he's being persecuted the same way we are is outrageous.
And like Martin Luther King, like our historical figures, he said, like,
the NAACP responded to him. And, so when you have, a lot of, Black leaders and people with, Black voices that have a lot of influence came out, and they were not happy about this at all. But Stephen A. Smith, he does have one of these personalities where he kind of wants to do, I'll say whatever the fuck I want and fuck you. But sometimes you almost have to realize what you said is outrageously ridiculous. But this is his half-ass apology. And, if there's anything you want to stop, let me know. But let's take a
to touch on something that I made news about just a few days ago.
He's going to do the soft
Let me say
voice
this,
first.
ladies and gentlemen. Accountability is where everything needs to begin in this world. It's something I say quite often.
So far,
I certainly
so good.
never hesitate to hold folks accountable when mistakes or mishaps occur. So I'm certainly not about to run from it myself. I'm fully aware that I've been in the news over the last few days, paraded all over social media as well.
I hate to say this, Lana, he loves that he's in the news like this. He loves it. He loves it.
It was the plan.
Yep.
By design.
Yep.
After comments I made during my appearance on Fox News' Hannity last week with the one and only Sean Hannity himself.
One and only.
And I'm fully aware of the outcry that has ensued because of it. A lot of folks in Black America seem pretty pissed at me right now, from friends and loved ones to colleagues, contemporaries, and dare I say even the NAACP itself. Quite a few folks were put off, if not flat out offended, after my words were interpreted as associating support for Trump from the Black community with all the legal issues he's facing. For that, I sincerely apologize.
But
to be clear, my words were misconstrued.
It's coming.
I'm stating right here for the record that my words were taken out of context, misrepresenting and depicting me in a way I found every bit as insulting and
Lana, this is the whole new, this is the Trump world. I mean, don't get me wrong. This kind of behavior has existed before in the past, but now it's this idea that we hear what the fuck you said, and now you're going to sit here and look at us in the face and say, I didn't say that.
And the apology that he tried to make, and it wasn't even an apology, but after he said it, and then when he turned around and said, y'all are misconstruing what I'm saying, but we heard you actually say those words that he said he didn't say, and now he's doing an apology, and he about to crane his neck and be like, and that.
Oh, it gets better. So it gets. Well, I shouldn't say better. It gets more annoying.
disrespectful as folks in Black America evidently felt about what they thought I said. But I'll own it anyway.
Okay.
Because you know,
see, that makes me so mad. And that has, listen, it's got nothing to do with the black and white issue. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's black, I'm white, whatever. It just annoys me when somebody says, I'm going to take accountability, and then you do it in that manner, like, I'll do it anyway. I know I'm still right, and I know you idiots are wrong, but guess what? I'm going to bow down to you. And he's saying it in that very condescending
not
way.
Really.
Yeah. Yep.
I know I'm right.
Please know that I know the buck stops with me. I'm in the communication business. I've been here for 30 years. So regardless of whatever interpretation that accompanies any words coming out of my mouth, the responsibility ultimately lies with me first and foremost before anybody else. I've always felt that way. I still do. I always will. Period. Blacks who refuse to support Trump are aware of his history of issues. And we'll never forget how Trump claimed Obama, the nation's first black president, wasn't even qualified to hold office because he was born in Kenya, although Trump recanted the statement during the 2016 campaign.
Lana, I'm going to go back because I want you to hear what he said after that.
Sorry. He said,
because this annoys me too. Listen.
Trump recanted the statement during his 2016.
Go back one more second here.
Kenya, although Trump recanted the statement during his 2016 campaign.
Although Trump recanted the statement. So A, he's defending Trump again. Second of all, I don't even know if he did. Do you know, did he recant the statement?
Donald Trump never recants anything. Are we joking right now? Obama showed his home. Donald Trump wanted Central Park 5 executed. They were exonerated. He never came back and said, oh, I shouldn't have said that. He doubled down. Trump doubled down. He doesn't recant.
That made me so mad because I was like, first of all, I don't ever recall him recanting. And let's just say he did for a half a second and he said it in some dumb rally or something like that. It's not like he was apologetic about it and was like, you know what, that was terrible and wrong of me and I should have never have done that.
God,
the fact that he even... I was really a full-on defense of Donald Trump saying that Obama was born in Kenya, and now you can tell he's still mad that he has to do this. It's two things, Lana. He's mad, but he loves it at the same time.
And somebody wrote this for him, and he added that, right? He's like, well, if I'm saying that, I have to add that Trump recanted it. Like,
I'll be honest with you, Lana. I think this is all him. I don't think I don't think Stephen A. Smith let somebody write something for him because, first of all, if somebody wrote something for him, I would have read it and go, there's no fucking way I'm saying this. I'm sitting here. This is an apology video, but it's not an apology. I think this is just his narcissistic.
Oh, well, see, it feels like he's reading it and it feels like his publicist was like, you got to apologize at minimum.
Here's the good news for him. He is ESPN right now. He is the entire network. So he is almost untouchable. Yeah, it is. He's almost untouchable there.
I didn't even want to watch that before the countdown. I'm just like, oh my God, Stephen A. Smith, and he has on the fucking pink suit. I hate you. Like
this also goes back to, by the way, of you could say whatever you want. You're on Sean Hannity's show saying that, you know, and that you can say whatever you want. He's doing his apologize. But again, sometimes there are ramifications for your words and some people just don't like it. And that's not because they're too sensitive. It's not because they wake up every day wanting to go after Stephen A. Smith. I'm a white guy. This is outrageous commentary. For a black person to hear this, I would imagine I know it drives you nuts because I've seen the comments and I've seen the reaction towards it. Unreal.
The presidency. Yet Trump's dissenters were not the topic of discussion when I was talking to Hannity. The support he appears to be receiving in the polls was what was being discussed. 5 polls. Count them, 5. Emerson.
Look how
NBC
mad he's
News,
getting now.
Daily Goss.
I'm going to fast forward.
So far as Trump gaining support in the black community, well, how about various publications with these headlines? The Chicago Tribune.
I'm done.
This
Yeah, okay.
time Trump
All right.
really does seem to
I'm
be.
just done.
Yeah.
Like he's gone. He's a pig. He may own ESPN, but he's definitely destroying himself with like his next act after that, because like, dude, what are you auditioning for Fox next? Because that's where you're gonna end up, because like, oh, you're working with like the majority of the Black community, and you're out here celebrating the guy who wanted to execute 5 teens.
He's not a stupid guy, but even people who can be smart say a lot of stupid things. What he said was stupid. The only thing I can imagine at this point now is ESPN probably called him and said, dude, you are our entire, you cannot do this. You're an entire platform. We don't want to fire you. So you know what? Say what you got to say. And then that's it. Drop it. No more. We don't need to hear your opinions anymore on the election. Just please, you're here to talk about sports. And again, I'm not somebody that says just because you're a sports guy that you shouldn't be allowed to talk about politics. You should be able to. But, you know, you also represent an entire broadcasting system in ESPN. I mean, like I said, he is the network right now. He runs that entire network. And, you know, when you're that important to the network, sometimes you got to be careful about what you say. And I don't know, man, that one was.
And he can vote for who he wants to vote for. He can support who he wants to
He
support.
still says he's not a Trump supporter, by the way.
But he absolutely is. Like, his words are like, you can't lose the words like, you know, the one and only Sean Hannity. Like, there's a deal being made somewhere. Something is happening. They've spoken. Like, maybe he wants the audience. Maybe he wants more MAGA watching ESPN. Like, maybe he's trying to get into that, you know, that thing of where that
what
is.
it is, Lana, what it is, and you're hitting onto something, and you're right. What it is that Stephen A. Smith is so big at ESPN that the idea is that there are a lot of young Black men who watch sports and love Stephen A. Smith. So if you hear Stephen A. Smith on a clip talking about how Donald Trump is just like us, now we can get those Black voters to come over to our side. And it is a plan. You are right. It is a plan.
Right. And I'm just trying to figure out, what did he get from Sean Hannity? Because this is a deal. This is all this is.
I think you're onto something. There was talk. It was like, hey, you come on the show and then you say this. And now he's getting backlash. And now he knows he's in this deal. So he can't 100% commit to saying, hey, I was wrong. By the way, that was fucking stupid.
Right.
He's got to do the, I understand, even the NAACP is after me, but how about these headlines? How about this? How about when this says this? And how about when that says that? And that's all I was saying. It's like,
because that's what that is. And that's almost like Sean Hannity's like, here's these headlines, and here are the polls that we're using. Like, because it's not even true. And Trump's not even leading in the polls like that. He can't even get anyone to go outside of the fucking court in New York. Like, he is not. You saw those comments under Stephen Hill. Did that sound like Black people were supporting that shit? It didn't to me.
I mean, it was a firestorm, Lana. I don't know how much you saw about it online, but it was, I mean, I'm talking about, it was, I mean, I literally saw almost every comment I saw was from somebody of color, and they were not happy about that. They were like, dude, what are you doing? But you're right. See, Donald Trump knows he is cornered, and so does MAGA. MAGA knows they are on their last stand, and they are desperate. And now they're hearing Joe Biden is starting to come back, and they hear the abortion thing, and they're freaking the fuck out. So everything is planned. Everything is something where, what can we do to get more voters to continue to sucker people into thinking that Donald Trump is better for you? Oh, let's get Stephen A. Smith, who's a huge voice in the sports arena.
Who's a weak link with the Black community? Like, because he really is kind of a weak link. Like, he's the one that they can turn, right? Like, they knew that they could turn that dude.
There's another gentleman named Jason Whitlock. He is he's a sportscaster, but nowhere near in the same. I mean, he's famous for, if you know sports, you know Jason Whitlock, but he's one of these guys who's basically ostracized from the community because he's another one of those black sportscasters who just is pro-Trump. He's, you know, and I think his only outlet now is on Ben Shapiro's channel.
Right.
But he's not the big fish. Stephen A. Smith is the big fish here.
Or Charles Barkley would have done something like this.
Well, Charles Barkley did say that he was he endorsed Nikki Haley, is what he said, which was disappointing. But he also can't stand Donald Trump, and that he's made pretty clear about. So, but again, I think we're talking about we're in a desperation field now, and they're going to do, Lana, and this sounds terrible to say, but we've talked about this before. I don't think that there's any way that Donald Trump, his associates, whoever, is not in touch with people at the Supreme Court. They're not in touch with, with people who can make things happen for him in these trials. I wouldn't be surprised if he is in touch with other countries to try to help set up some sort of attack.
He's been meeting with the ex-Japanese president or prime minister today. He's got another meeting with some other country's prime minister. Like, he's got all these foreign meetings coming up. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is he talking to Eileen Cannon? Absolutely.
Yep, no question. No doubt about it. There is some funneling going on to these judges, whether directly through him or he knows. He's like the Godfather. He knows I'm not directly talking to him, but here's exactly what you tell them. And again, I am far from a conspiracy theorist, but don't fucking tell me that there is no reason to believe that this is going on. Come on. I mean, this guy is desperate, and he's already proven out to be somebody who will do anything.
We heard him call Roethlisberger or whatever his name is. He's absolutely having these people call and say, "What can you do for me? What's that ruling going to be on the immunity case? The hearing's coming up on the 25th. What's going on with it?" Yes, he absolutely is.
Yeah, if you want to call this a conspiracy, you can, but it's based off of something. Usually conspiracies are based off of nothing. This is based off of something that has, some legitimacy to it.
And it's what he does. We know that we have heard him on the phone calling people to get things done, including Michael Cohen. We heard it.
We did. So, all right, we're going to wrap up the show. Before we do, I do have a treat for you, Lana. 4 years ago today.
Candy, gummies.
I will mail those to you.
Peach rings.
And a Celtics victory tomorrow night. We got to get to the finals. But 4 years ago today, possibly the dumbest thing in the history of our country was ever said by a president. And this is a very high bar because he has said so many fucking stupid things. But this is the 4-year anniversary of this doozy, Lana. Take a listen.
We hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light. And I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it.
Look at the wheel spinning in this idiot's
head. You brought the light
head.
inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting.
Oh, he's talking to the doctor and that poor woman.
Yeah, remember her face? He's just like,
the
disinfectant.
We can do something like that
in a minute
by injection inside or almost a cleaning, because you see it gets in the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
You're going to have to.
So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute.
Sounds interesting to me.
That's pretty powerful.
Okay. That was 4 years ago today, Lana, and people want that guy to be president again. Thoughts?
Sounds interesting to me. It's the infection and the bleach.
Oh, that poor lady was looking, the fear in her eyes. It was
oh my God, I can see her scarf.
I can too. And I think, in the beginning, it was pretty sad because she had to go along with this program and she was trying to be as nice as she could. And finally, when she was able to say something, she's like, holy shit.
Because he's talking to her like he knows what he's talking about. And she's just like, what the? What?
Lana, this guy one time says he's very smart because his uncle went to MIT.
It's hereditary.
It's hereditary because his uncle went to MIT. He's very, very smart. I don't know. This is, again, we've had this concern. I just don't understand. You could put a clip. I don't know. You put a 10-hour clip together and it still wouldn't even be the amount of total clips that you can listen to this guy say some of the dumbest shit you've ever heard. Like if a 7th grader said it, you'd be like, maybe we need to send this kid back to the 6th grade because he's still a little off.
It's true. It's true. I think he has a speech impediment.
But he's talking like a 7th grader and people are taking him seriously.
Yeah. And we wonder why they're listening to Nick Fuentes and the Waters guy, right? Like the bar is so low.
It really is. It has become a very, very scary time in our country. And it's just going to get scarier until November. And then we'll all see whether or not we're going to continue on from that point. So, Lana, 1 hour, 45 minutes. We had to make up for last week. We were off last week.
Yeah.
The Quest show was off last week. So I'd have to imagine that it's going to be back this week. Everybody wants to know, Lana. This is really probably the only reason why anybody tuned into tonight's show. They had to wait an hour and 45 minutes to figure out whether or not the Quest show is going to be back. Lana, let them know right now.
Yes, I've already started writing stuff down. It's so funny. So I practiced with my clips. I didn't know they go away if you don't do it right away.
Yeah, you can't go. That's the only thing I forgot to tell you. You can't set up the clips and then get out. You have to stay in.
So amazing to just set them.
I agree.
The whole show up, and all you have to do is show up.
Yep. But you could just keep the window open, I guess.
I did that. I did it twice. And then when I went back to it, it said, oops. Something went wrong.
Yeah. We just do it an hour before the show, I guess. That's what I do. I set up all my clips like an hour and a half before the show. So, but the Quest show, that's really the news here. That's what we're talking about. The Quest show is back on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. You can catch Lana Quest live at 8:00 on her very own show, The Quest Show. So if you like, I tune in because Lana's on and I don't want to hear Brian talk. You don't have to. You can do it just by going to the Quest show. Just Lana. You don't have to worry about me.
Rambling on.
Yep.
You like rambling. Hey.
She could do it too. She could talk straight and knows what she's saying. Goes right through the show. Moves on to the next subject. I'd be flipping through pages.
Yeah, you're being kind. You should read Baby Juggernaut's last comments. Because there are a lot there. I don't know.
Can you read those, Lana? Because I don't have my glasses on.
Oh, sure I can. I don't even know where to start, Baby Juggernaut. Let's see. Country Over Party. I saw that.
I think it's the last comment because everything else. One was we read the ones above that. So she said she's in Carolina.
Going to change women's health. They're mad too because Dems and independents won't date them much.
We read that one.
Oh, we did? Okay. Yeah. She's in North Carolina. I don't know. What were we talking about then? It is a beautiful state. You ever been?
Yes.
Yeah, I like North Carolina. North Carolina is going to be blue soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope it's this year. But what's the last comment? Love the state.
We went from a red state to pinkish. I think the last year or so. Kind of proud of that. I'm proud of Carolina. It too. Yeah.
And it's possible. They have another one of these crazy MAGA guys that are running. I mean, he's batshit crazy. The one running for, I think, governor, right? North Carolina.
Who's that? Is that Johnson? No, where's Johnson? Is it Johnson?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Is that Mark Johnson?
Yes, I believe that's who it is.
He's black guy?
Yes.
Oh gosh. Oh, Baby Juggernaut. I'm sorry. Do not let that guy is crazy. He is. Oh my goodness.
Last poll I saw, he was down by like 10 points.
Oh my God. Because he's a nut. He's the one that doesn't want women to vote.
By the way, we also should bring up before we go that Nevada just added abortion to their ballot.
Right.
Arizona's got it on their ballot. Florida's got it on their ballot. I
Yes.
believe North Carolina does. Baby Juggernaut might be able to let us know.
That
Even New York, and people are like, well, who gives a shit in New York? Well, the reason why that's important is because there's a lot of House races in New York with some re-gerrymandered districts that are now written in a way that is more in accordance to the law instead of the illegal ones that they had before. So to pick up any other House seats, that's an important thing. So, a lot of things to be excited about, but, obviously stay vigilant on this and cautious, and do not think that by any means this is over. The last election we had was very close. This one's going to be very close, but I do believe we'll have enough to pull it out again.
You know what's going to happen? I know we got to go, but be careful, because if Donald Trump gets into the presidency, they're not going to have these ballot initiatives. They're going to find a way to get rid of these ballot initiatives.
No doubt.
Because this is what's saving us right now.
They're going to find a way for Donald to keep his position as president. I mean, the fact that people don't think that is not possible is crazy. By the way, please like and subscribe to the show if you don't mind before you go.
I'm going to do that right now.
All right, Lana, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm going to like the show.
Okay, my friend. Well, it was excellent to see you. Let's get a Celtics victory tomorrow night, go up 2-0. And then we will, maybe you could celebrate it a little bit on the Quest Show on Thursday night live at 8:00. And then you can join us back here next Tuesday at 8:00 for Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you guys again next time.
Bye, Baby Juggernaut.
Bye, Baby Juggernaut. Thank you for participating. We love you as always. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.